Alright, so I just got back from seeing Han Solo. So I wanted to give you my first initial thoughts and review. Overall, really liked the movie. Just from the beginning, it put a bad taste in my mouth at the very beginning because it wasn't like a little scroll down telling you what's going on, and there was no Star Wars music, there was no ship flying over a moon or a planet or nothing out of space. So it started off different than any other Star Wars movie, and it kind of took me out of it for a second. And I'm not gonna lie, like Han Solo, the guy who played Han Solo, his acting for like the first 15 minutes, like when he's trying to escape, I forgot that planet or whatever, his acting was pretty like bad. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of corny, but it definitely got better throughout. The movie was smaller than I thought it would be, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I actually enjoyed that. It was kind of like a Western or something. It really had like a Western feel to it. It was like the smallest Star Wars movie I've ever seen. Like the stakes weren't too high, and it was just a contained little story. You know, it's not like the episode films. It wasn't like Rogue One, but I really enjoyed it. I didn't really, a lot of people had a problem with this guy playing Han Solo. I thought he looked a lot like a young Harrison Ford. I mean, he's not Harrison Ford, but I bought into him as a young Han Solo. I thought he did a great job. Other than like that first few minutes, and some of the scenes when he has with Kira, I didn't really believe the chemistry between them, I would say, I guess. So that kind of threw me off. But the chemistry with him and Chewie, I thought was the highlight of the film. I love seeing how he was introduced to Chewie. I love their interactions.
That was my favorite.
It was my girlfriend's favorite part of the movie as well, was Chewbacca. I thought Donald Glover did a great job as Lando, although he wasn't in the movie as much as I thought he was going to be. When he was in there, I thought he did a great job. He was really swaggy and stuff like that. I want to see him get his own movie for sure. I love that they incorporated a lot more aliens in this movie than past newer Star Wars movies. Like there was a lot of different creatures and stuff that I think would make for really cool action figures for us toy collectors. I know some of y'all watching this aren't toy collectors, but for the toy collectors who are watching this, those aliens were definitely dope. My girlfriend's looking at me thinking I'm looking at the camera and I don't see the cars coming in the road, but I indeed do, because I'm a driver just like Han Solo. But Enfys Nest, the design of that character looks so cool and so badass and so menacing and intimidating, and then takes off the helmet and it's like a 14-year-old girl. I understand where they were trying to go with that. Wasn't a fan of that. It reminded me of Kylo Ren when he took his mask off and he was no longer intimidating. So I know Enfys Nest wasn't, or didn't turn out to be the villain of the story, but I felt that just took away, like it just basically threw away a whole, not that her character couldn't be interesting, but as far as like just the badassness of it was just an intimidation factor of her suit and stuff was just all the way thrown away just like that, which is what Star Wars is gonna do. We know all about that. I'm not even gonna get to that. Darth Maul popping up, I thought that was really cool, but I also felt like it was forced. I felt like it had absolutely nothing to do with anything. They just wanted to have a scene in the movie that make fans, you know, oh, if you didn't like this movie, guess what? Within the last 5 minutes, one of your favorite character from the prequels was going to pop up, Darth Maul. I guess you never thought that was going to happen, and it was supposed to give you that shock factor, which I thought it was cool, but when I realized it didn't place anything into the story, like it didn't move the story along, it was literally just there to be there, it was like, okay, you know. But I mean, if it came down to it just being a generic person or being Maul, then of course I would rather it be Maul. So I'm happy it was in there, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I kind of felt like, you know, it was thrown in there just to make us happy if we weren't already happy with the movie, which I was happy with the movie. I could see why some people would have problems with it, but I thought it was cool. Now, there's one thing I wanted to touch on. Now, I know this was like, you know, an origin story for Han Solo. And I thought it did a good job as a first movie in a trilogy. But if this was just the end of like the origin story they want to tell for Han Solo, and this is all we get, then I don't think the movie would be as impactful. I really think that this movie sets up and answers a lot of questions, but not enough, and definitely leaves it open for at least 2 more films, so we can see how he really, over time, becomes the Han Solo that we see in A New Hope. So I definitely want to see a second and third film, and I think that would make this film even better. I think this film should serve as a first of a trilogy. That's in my opinion. I know a lot of y'all never want to see this guy try to play Han Solo again. Personally, that I didn't have a problem with him. He's the new Han Solo for these kids nowadays, and I'm gonna accept him as Han Solo. So overall, I know I nitpicked at a lot of things. I thought the movie was really cool. It was action-packed. There was never a pacing problem with this movie. I felt like it kept going. There was constant action. You know, it didn't really, once it took off, it didn't really put on the brakes anymore. I felt like it was in just straight go mode, which I like that. So overall, I thought the movie was good. Did you think the movie was good?
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
So definitely want to see it a couple more times. It's definitely 10 times better than The Last Jedi. It's right up there with Rogue One to me right now. I'll have to see it a couple more times before I know where to rank it. But I'm definitely going to see it again. I think you guys should go see it. If you're trying to hold out because you hated The Last Jedi, trust me, this movie is 10 times better, like I said. So if you like this review, give it a thumbs up. If you hated everything I had to say, give it a thumbs down and talk some shit in the comments below. Let me know also in the comments below how you felt about the movie, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, you have a good day, YouTube.